Video is going to be a little bit different to begin with, and then we'll get into something, but I have to give you a little bit of context here. So I have these counters that we created. I'll give you, this is using just birch plywood, but we created these counters for a kitchen. We're going to be epoxying them. That's going to be in a separate video, but I wanted to have this separate because this is a separate deal. So we have the counters here, the sink openings here. Show some pictures maybe of that.
So here I am just measuring off the different cabinets so that I can make the counters. Some people use templates. I usually just use this method. This part right here is really important. What I did is I marked the center line of that cabinet, and then I measured from the wall over to that center line, so I knew the center line of the sink, and I could cut out that hole before epoxying the counter. And then here I'm just measuring where I'm going to put braces in. I want those braces to rest on where the cabinets are, the ends there, so that's like a little over 7 feet there. I would mark those as center lines and put the bracing underneath in those locations just to make sure it's as strong as possible. This is just measuring the smaller countertop areas, and this is me looking at how much space I have between that molding in the cabinet so that I can make that counter as big as possible, extend it over a little bit, and then measure off the wall. Most of these were at 24, but some of them were shimmed, so just wanted to make sure those measurements were good. And this is the help I got making the cabinets. Not cabinets, countertops. So my kids helped me do it, which is really cool.
And what you want to do is you want to work your way down the board. So only look, if you're going to nail here, just look right here, make sure that's good. Put your nails in and then go down, make sure it's good right here. That way if you have to move the board, you can. Right? So if you do one end then the other and in the middle it's off, you can't fix it. Make sense? You what? You feel like a child? What I'm about to do now, though, is very different than anything you've seen. And I just wanted to capture this part of it kind of separately because it's a separate deal. What I'm about to do is we have these countertops here that have just a straight edge. Now, what I'm going to show you works on laminate counters as well. It was designed that way. This is an edge system, okay? And I have different profiles to use, but basically we're going to put an edge on here, not just have it flat, but give it some character on the edge before we do it, set this thing off a little bit better. But what I want to do is give you just a little bit of context. Now, this is the first time I've touched this stuff in over a decade. A while back when I was learning how to do epoxy counters, and I did a bunch of them for customers, one of the things that bugged me was you had to kind of use this flat edge. And there were some ways to do it. You could router the edge and do some other stuff, but it just didn't have that same look of a nice counter. It looked okay, but you were limited by what you could do. So anyway, long story short, I prototyped and did some other stuff and figured out an edging system to work, and went so far as to actually have a patent for it. and trademark the name and all that good stuff. So this is actually my creation, and again, it's been a while since I've touched this stuff. Back then I was looking to go into the countertop side of things and, you know, be a seller and product and all that kind of stuff. And it was a side gig then. I had a health scare and had to like kind of drop something, and it was that whole side business that I had kind of hoped it would become could become a full-time business where I was selling product and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's what this is. I haven't, like I said, installed it in a while. I have inventory of it sitting here. I actually, you know, got to a point where I had sold some stuff to somebody in Arizona to distribute it. I distributed some of it local, but on a small scale. Now, over a decade later, I still don't see anything out there like this, for whatever that's worth. But I have different profiles. This is the small profile that we're going to use. And this system actually has what's called a stanchion rail, and that gets installed first, and then this end or this opening here receives that or puts that in, and it receives it, and it becomes one piece. So it makes sense when you see it, but you screw this in, you pop that on, you glue it and pop that on, and then that becomes part of the counter. And I did all kinds of testing and stuff back then. This has got a trade secret formulation to it, so it accepts paint, epoxy, and that, but it also, you can bend it, you can do all kinds of stuff with it, but not gonna get into all that. Honestly, most of that stuff I probably got rid of because I just went a different direction and thought I'd never use it again. Well, I'm doing this counter, getting back in a little bit to some epoxy stuff, and you know, maybe this is one of a few counters that I do, but I'm gonna use my stuff. So figured I'd capture it so you can see that, and we'll see what happens. But I'm going to show you the process. I'm going to go through it. There's some cool things that you could do with this. The other part of the formulation is you can actually miter edges. You can glue this together. Not glue it, but you actually solvent weld it together. It becomes one. It's really strong. Like I said, we've tested it all out. I've had multiple customers that have had it for over a decade, and it's held up. It's in my kitchen. So really good way to change the look of a counter. If you have a laminate counter and you know it's in place, you could install this in place and then coat over top of it, that kind of thing. Do that, set this up, you'll be able to see the whole process, and you know, let me know what you think, if it's something that you're interested in hearing more about, or whatever the case may be. If nothing else, I'm using some inventory that I have sitting here on a counter that's going to go in. So I'm going to go ahead and get started doing this. I'm also going to kind of explain kind of the journey a little bit, give you a little bit of information through there, you know, as we go, just because it's stuff I haven't thought about in a long time, and I, you know, just share it. Maybe you learn some stuff from it. But anyway, first thing we got to do is put this stanchion rail on. That's what it's called, and you can see it's got an interesting groove to it, or an interesting design to it. So this part, it actually gets this round part. The edge itself is set up with little nibs that retain right on here. And there were lots of iterations of this, but what we ended up doing is, I have a mouse. What I ended up doing is designing it so that it could be not extrusion, yeah, extruded. It's extruded. So had to redesign it multiple times, did a bunch of prototypes. Anyway, this line here is part of the die that it gets extruded out of, and what that basically does is just give you an easy place to start the screws. Used to have, when I was going to do an injection molded one, there were holes here that you would actually have to screw in, but this gives you the ability to put screws wherever you want, and it just gives you that V there to start the screw, and it makes sure it stays centered, which is important because the screws that we're using have a round head, and that round head fits in there. And again, this is designed rounded here, not flat, so that screw head comes right up to there and gets retained. It doesn't get retained, but I mean it's got space in there to allow the screws. So it's important to have it in the center. So that's what this is. And we have to put this at a certain height so that this sits where we want it to sit. And I had built a jig. I did molds and had jigs with like screw in. I don't have any of the jigs anymore now that I think about it, but I had these thumb screws, and the jig would go here. You could actually adjust the jig up and down for what style you wanted, because you can actually, this could be inverted. It could be like this, or it can be inverted, so you get multiple edges. That was the other thing, is when I designed the edges, I designed them so that you can get different looks. I think it was like 12 different looks out of 3 edges. You can also, if you wanted to put this down a little bit more, so you have a double I don't know, not ledge, but it's a double reveal here before it goes down. Things like that. So anyway, so that one was adjustable. You could do all that, and there are such things as over-engineering. And what I found was the jigs were great, but it took a little bit longer to slide it down, screw it in to secure it, and do all that. Worked well, but it was slower, and also something else that somebody had to buy, which I didn't want to do. So what I ended up doing was coming up with a method that you can use just scrap pieces of this edge itself, solvent welded or glue it together, and I used epoxy putty to just make it stronger. And these two sit on top, and this sits along the edge here, and this is lined up with the top, which is what we want. So this is what we use. We just hold it in place instead of having a clamp, and we can go down and do it pretty quickly. The other thing that I did with this is where it gets retained, just sanded that off so those little nibs aren't there. So I could slide this right down. I could put it over top of the stanchion rail like that and just slide it down. Real simple with stuff you already had, and you just had to solvent weld and create your own jigs. And you could create them. I used to have them for multiple reveals. Here's the bullnose edge, which I'm not putting on this. This is the big edge. We had, let's see, a coupon edge, which is like that, and then this is the bullnose edge. But anyway, that's the other jig I have. Now this one actually has a spacer in it. And this is what I mean by you could make different jigs to get different reveals. So this one actually sits down. This is the one I used in my own kitchen. I did it because I wanted a reveal, a lip right here before I got, before the bullnose. So just a little bit more decorative, is a nice, I thought it was a nice look. You could also do it flat, but this one's set up so that it's got that little bit of a reveal. And if maybe I'll grab a couple pictures of my counter in the kitchen, and you'll be able to see that, and I'll throw them up here, and you'll see what that looks like. 3 different edges. Honestly, I don't remember what this one was called. I didn't have all the labels made for this. This was the last one before I built out all the marketing stuff, whatever. All right, so I'm going to go down this counter, put these screws in using the jig, and you'll see how that works right now. Oh, the other thing to mention here, there's square bits, so it's not Phillips, so you easily round them off. Square bits, self-tapping screws, and it's from I think they're Craig screws. So it's something that was easily or readily available that you can get locally, at a maybe not a hardware store, but could be a hardware store, but different places. But you could get this stuff locally. So all you really had to buy was the system, and the other things that we'll use are things that you could get locally, the tools and stuff like that, and the screws to mount it. So the stanchion rail just gets mechanically fastened. No glue needed here. The screws are holding it in tight, and all you have to do is put these rails up, and I stay just a little bit off of the edge. You'll see why later, but I'll stay a little bit off of the edge here on each of those sides. This stuff's easy to cut as well. I actually used to use, gosh, what were they called? Like cutters, and just cut them. But I have a little saw over here set up. I might use that as well. I have I have a multi-tool as well. But anyway, again, this is a little different video because I'm showing you the process, but also kind of explaining what we, kind of the journey of it. So bear with me. All right, so let's put this up here. I'm gonna make sure I hold that down. I go close. Now, when you're tightening it, the screw goes this way. So the left side is what wants to lift up. So you hold the jig that you made, or I hold the jig that I made, over to the left side, and then okay. You can see that right there. And what I'm trying to do here is set my clutch so that I don't over tighten it because you don't want to squish it. So I'll do this a couple times just kind of figure out the sweet spot there. And again, because I don't have the nubs, the little nubs retaining it, I can just slide it on like this. And I'm just going to go every, 8 inches or whatever. Okay. And you see that V-groove just holds that screw right there, which makes it really nice. And once you have a screw that's not straight. Haha, perfect timing. Okay. Okay. Like I said, I haven't done this in a while, and that's one way to do it, but I just had an idea. I'm going to drill a bigger hole through here so I could actually put the screw right through the middle of this, and that makes sure it's right where I want it to be. This does move a little bit, not a lot. It'll be fine because that's the way I always did it. But it was done the other way because it's just easy to slide right down. You'll see the screw will be retained in there, but I'm going to try that. Why not? So I'm going to go ahead and actually make this hole bigger. See what happens here. Yeah, I mean you can if you look down through there. Okay. I like that better. Okay, well, if I ever use it again, that's what I'll do. Okay, so the stanchion rail's in. Stay away from the edges, and that's because we're we're going to do some stuff here. We're going to cut this on an angle, and we just want to stay a little bit away from the edges. For that, space in the round here, where you have that round for glue to sit, we also have these recesses here, one here and then one down here. That's to retain glue as well, just to give that a place to go. But before I get to the glue part, I want to kind of line these all up a little bit. And let's see the piece I have cut. 45 on that end, which is what I have. I have one 45. I have this one already done for this side. So I'm just going to lay these out, get them cut, figured out, and I'll show you what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm going to put this in, line this up with what I want to do there. And the stationary rail doesn't need to be precise, but this does, because this is the edge itself. So line that up with that point right there. Just deburring that end. So this is up here. Okay. What I'm going to do, just take my hammer. I'm going to tap this part in. So this edge in here. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to take that back off, but I just want to put it there so it doesn't fall or any of that stuff. And then this edge is going to go. Just put this up top here. I just want to put a little bit. Where I know it'll be retained, and that's the thing. There's some room in there for the glue to squeeze. You don't want too much because it'll hydraulic it. Oops. I'm just putting a nice. Why am I struggling so much with this? Okay. Just put it down here. Okay. All right. Definitely not going to have enough glue. That's okay. I'll find something else. Probably mix up some epoxy and use it. You could use multiple things for it. Because the glue is holding it a couple different ways. One way is it's just securing, it's actually securing it to the substrate. The other way is the glue fills in the voids that I showed you earlier. And those voids, basically, when the glue hardens, those voids make it next to impossible to get off. So I'm just going to work my way from here back. Just kind of work my way down. Okay. And just take my finger, get all kinds of glue on it. I want to wipe this off down here. I don't want the epoxy, the next layers, to go to the glue. I want it to go to the wood. So we'll go ahead and clean that on the bottom. Okay. All right. Now, well, this is a little bit off here. We'll tap that just a little bit. There we go. Just a little more. Okay, so that one's there. And we don't want the glue squeezing out on the top. Okay. That's a little bit proud, and I actually do that on purpose. When with my jig, it's a little bit up. The reason is that I'm going to sand this. I'm going to come down and kind of sand this to make sure this is flush. And if it's a little proud, you can always make sure the edge fits with the substrate. Those parts over here. Just gonna work my way down from here. And once it's in, I can see I need to move it down. Actually, I should be using a piece of wood. Okay, you see that piece right there that's open? We'll fix that in a little bit. Alright, that's better. And I have this piece to close up. I'll show you what we do there. I gotta make a return down on this end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a sliver that fits in here that's 22.5 and 22.5 that goes to a point. That way this becomes a 45 return. And then we'll solvent weld, we're going to use CA glue, which is kind of solvent welding, or you could use acetone, that kind of thing, for this. And I'll show you here, like this. This, you're not going to be able to break it apart because it actually becomes, it welds it together. It's not like a glue. It kind of welds the pieces together, so it makes it a nice tight corner. Okay. Deburr it somehow. Small piece. But it's more, I wanted to kind of show you how you can do this stuff. And this goes in here, like this. And we can fill that if we need to. But what I'm going to do is use CA glue. Just do that just so I don't drip it all over the floor. Put it here. That side. That side. Put this in here. It doesn't have to fit perfect, but as you'll see, there are ways you could fix that. The sanding and other stuff. If I was smart, I would have gotten my actual miter saw to do this. Alright. because it would be a better connection. Do that. Where's my... Where is... One at a time. It's already setting up. I want to pop, see if I can pop it up just a little bit here. Just angle it. Angle it a little bit. Just put the accelerator on there. Been a long time. Good test. Okay. Smells like it's still good. So this is an epoxy putty that you knead together. It's two part. You can see there's the gray in there and then the white. Two part. So you knead it together to become one, which I'll show you as soon as I put gloves on after the fact, after I have the worst stuff on me. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to just knead this stuff together. You want to work it together till it's all one color. And this, again, sticks to plastic. This is good stuff. Now, if I would have cut that with the miter saw, well, the power miter saw, it would have been much cleaner and probably wouldn't even have to do that. Actually, I wouldn't have to do this. But you get to see how this goes. Okay. Stuff's got a smell. It's been a while since I smelled it. Still have quite a few tubes. This is great. I actually used this to fix a part on the truck, the dashboard. I don't know if you saw that one, but something broke off on the back of the dash, and I used this to repair it. And now what I'm going to do is put this piece down, and this stuff starts getting warm. You feel it getting warm because it's reacting. And just going to work it in here. Get in. Push it in that gap. Too. Just rub that in. Don't remember, it's definitely sandable, obviously, but I actually don't remember how hard it is. So we'll remember together. Basically that fills that gap in there. Okay. And I could pick this counter up probably from this little piece, see? So that's nice and strong, solvent welded, not glued. And then I'm just using this epoxy to fill. And I'm going to look to see if there are any other, there's kind of a little bit of a gap there. Not bad, but while I have this stuff out, just go ahead and squeeze a little bit in there. Pretty sure this is because of the miter being the manual type and me not doing well with it. Also has a very aggressive blade, so we'll go ahead and put that there since I had some. Now the other thing is, which I can't show you because it's on the other side against the wall, but you see the opening at the very end. That you see the you see this part. And again, I think it butts against the wall, but I'm not going to risk it if it does show a little bit. So I'm going to pack that with epoxy putty as well, so I can sand it flat. Other stuff is already hard. Well, I don't need to do that right now. I'll do all that at one time. And this epoxy putty is already set up. So it's still a little bit soft, but it's hard. It's, for the most part, it's hard. So, oh, yeah. Okay. I did say to wipe the glue off, didn't I? Yeah, I did. It's been too long. So this one's going by the fridge. This one's the stove, but this one you also see as you walk into the kitchen. I might put an edge out on this side. I think I'm going to, because you see it as you walk in. Of course, I could just leave it flat too, but I think it'll look weird being across from this. So that's the back. Here. By the way, the reason you stay off of it is because if you go all the way to the end, this piece won't fit because it's cut on a diagonal. So you just stay away from the edges in case you're going to do that. That's really what that's about. Good, and then will this work for the front? I think so. Maybe a little bit bigger piece. Let's see if this works. It's a little too long. This should be just fine. So I'll leave it for that piece. And I need to get some more screws. Too much, but that's fine. All right, let's do the front. Oh, I have that here. Definitely don't want to use that bag. Load this. Let that support me a little bit here. know I'm making this look more like a project than it probably should be. Definitely than it used to be, but I haven't used this stuff in forever. So you're seeing me use it for the first time. I didn't like pre-do any of this stuff. Keep sliding. All right, that one's done. Let's do this side. I'm not set up for this, like I'd have these laid out all around and would just roll, but not today, not with everything not being what I think it would be. This birch ply is very slippery, very smooth on both sides, so it's like, actually, you know what? I'm being dumb. Just throw this on here. There we go. Fixed. Problem solved. All right. Much better when it's not sliding everywhere. I'll throw one there. Probably doesn't need one, but. Alright. So that one's good. I have this little piece that I kept. Yeah, those aren't gonna work. So, here. Line that up with that end. Actually, I should check. How did I make this 12? Ooh. I just remembered. There's molding there. Molding there. I wanted it to be 12 and a half. That's probably going to get into the molding, but I can notch the molding if I want to, or I can notch this out. I'm not going to worry about it. I should, but I'm not going to. At this point, I'll figure that out on the job. Okay, because I just don't remember if that 12 and a half, 13, it's going to be close. Okay, let's cut this. everything that I'm doing here is pretty much worst case scenario. Taking a lot longer because I'm doing stuff. With tools that are not ideal. But that's okay. So that's that. Okay. Go ahead. Do that. Hey, I remember how to use that stuff. Cool. Alright. And we will pound this out. It really needs to go that way. So, tap it that way. Okay. Looks good right there. Maybe just a touch. Okay. So that's good right there. All right. Pieces for that. Cut this one. It's funny, this feels a lot harder than I remember it. Probably does. Just haven't done it in so long. Alright. Oh, that's not the piece I want. This is the piece I want. Okay. Turn it. So you can see it. Okay. We just have maybe have enough. Let's do this. Okay. Good. Make that work. All right. Let's go again. All right. Now, my next trick. Yeah, see, that's way better fit than the other one. It's just my cutting abilities sucked. Okay. So, going to do this. Oh, I don't have gloves on again. Tell me. I'll pay that price later. Right now, I just want to get this in here. Okay. It's going to go up just a little bit. There. I don't know if the activator will actually get in there. I want to do this real quick. Okay, so that kicks it in place there. Oh no! Oh no! Okay. What did I say about paying the price later? Okay. I was worried about cleaning that off. Where'd my piece go? Perfect. Yes, great. Like that. Get it on my hands again. Like I said I wasn't going to do. Goodness gracious. I'm making this look way harder than it actually is. I do not know why. It's starting to frustrate me. Can you tell? Put just a little bit of here. Let that run down. I don't think that necessarily will get in there, but definitely will get on the top where I was. But that's how it should fit. Better than before, and we'll sand this and round it a little bit to make it look good. All right. It's too much like work. This is crazy. Never actually done this, but I have CA glue, so I'm gonna just run along this edge. Okay. That harden up. Okay. But the other piece, usually I don't do this, I just do the fronts. But the other piece, oh, that's gonna suck to sand that off. Oh well, I guess I'm gonna find out. Never used it before. See what happens. What time is it? Okay, so I get that other piece. I think on that one I'm just going to do the front. Probably can't now. Probably made more work for myself. I didn't have to do. Okay. This piece is over here. Put it over there. Normally I wouldn't care because the epoxy is just going to be on cover that. I'm going to prime it first. Primer is not going to. Okay. That's the one. What is this yellow? I gotta figure out where that's coming from. That might be from the CA. Do you know? Alright, so this is the one for the stove. Back is over here. Alright. Or no, by the fridge. So this is going to be against the fridge. This is going to be just going to do the front. Excuse me. I've made up my mind. Just going to do the front. I'm going to use this piece. And just do the front on this one. Don't remember what's over on that side. I think it's tight. Alright. So we straighten this out. That's there. fighting my tools here. Oh, that's about as crooked as can be. I'll put it on and I'll just sand that flush. That's fine. It's not hard to do that. Where's that? This one. That one's crooked too. Perfect. And I'll be able to fill it with putty, make it flush. Fighting the tools here, fighting the tools. I'll use this. Because I know I don't have another piece coming in here. Make this a little tighter on this edge. Okay. Almost done juice in the camera. Could shave that down. So I didn't have to do that, but whatever. Okay. This goes here. Yes, definitely not doing it by hand again. Joint, which is what I should have done over there as well. That's not good. See that I had that gap because I had this covering it. Okay. It's fine. Just cut this end. That's what I did. I thought, well, cut this. I remember now that I forgot. I'm going to cut quite a bit more off of this. Just so I have enough. Alright, I'm just going to do it this way. Got enough crap on my hands anyway. It's dumb. Wear gloves. Don't do what I do. It's got a smell to it too. Alright, about to run out of space on the camera and battery, but just wanted you to see it's really all you have to do to the end. And then when it sets up, come back, sand it, and that'll be fine. So when the camera runs out, which will be anytime in the next 10 seconds, at least have seen me do a couple of them. Set up. It sets up pretty quick. It's only been I don't know, 30 minutes or whatever. Ended up finding another card for the camera, so I could keep rolling. I am going to use 60 grit right now. I already did a little bit here, just to make sure this is even over the lip here. I am going to use 60 because it just takes up a lot of material quick to sand these areas and to quickly get this even. But I'm going to go back over this all with 120 and braid it. It just helps the primer or the epoxy or whatever you're going to use stick to it. I'm going to prime this because I don't want this wood grain showing through the epoxy. So I'm just going to braid it, give that primer a mechanical bond. But right now I'm just trying to shape things. So I'm going to shape this with the 60 and then the other one, and then I'll come back and do the 120. So I'm just going to store this in my hand. Follow the contour and just scuff up the surface a little bit more. So I'm getting ready to prime this thing, but before I do, just to give it the best chance I can, I'm going to go ahead and spray this with some isopropyl. Down the edges. Okay. I'll make this up. Alright, now what I'm going to do is grab something. Shaking up the primer. I haven't actually done this before I pre-primed. I've done multiple layers. I wanted to color the epoxy, but I'm already going to have 2 layers of epoxy on this, the colorant, and then I'm going to put a top coat on it. So I don't want 3 layers. Mainly because of time too, but also because it won't hide all this. So the only way to really hide all this is to use an opaque color. Epoxy doesn't, it'll still show some stuff through it. And so I'm just going to take some of this. Like this. This primer says you can tint it up to 15 milliliters per quart, so that means 7 for the half. But I don't have a way to measure the milliliters anyway, or milliliters anyway. So I'm just going to, what's the cap? I'm going to say that's perfect, because I have no idea. These down here. That's how this goes. Oh, this is probably way too much. Let's do it over here. Oh, really is the same color.